Hi everybody, we have a new moon in Libra with solar eclipse coming up this weekend. Of course, depending on where you are in the world, it's going to be on the 14th or the 15th of October. For us in the UK, it will be 18:55 on Saturday the 14th. Those of you in Sydney, Australia, it will be on the 15th. Okay, apply your own time zones as appropriate. But yeah, 6 words for you. New moon in Libra with eclipse. Powerful energy. We are starting eclipse season. So it's like a portal type energy. Pluto has just recently come direct after being in retrograde for a time. So that deep introspection on what we have to transform at the depths of our soul, not surface level, deep. This is scorpionic transformation. He's now direct. So what have we learned from the introspection? What do we need to transform? How are we going to apply it moving forward? We're now coming face to face with eclipse season. And of course, we've got this new moon, which is about newness, new starts, new beginning. In the sign of Libra, balance, fairness, reciprocity, equal give and take, justice, and also relates to relationships because Libra rules the 7th house in astrology, relationships with people, places, and things. So of course, I've got the chart I'm going to pull up. I was drawn to some particularly interesting things, not to mention, first of all, the sun and the moon, of course, for a new moon, they are exactly conjunct. That's what the new moon energy is there for you. So 21 degrees for both. So 21, 21, okay, which reduces to a 3 and a 3 if you want to go into the manifestation numbers. And it is a new moon, manifestation and intention settings. But also there is a direct opposition between Mercury and Chiron at this time. There's an exact conjunction between Lilith and Juno. And there is also a conjunction between the moon and the sun with the south node. So this is heavily related to karmic and past life situations. Lots to do with our healing journey because Chiron's in the mix, our expression, Mercury in the mix, and that feminine essence of love and the shadow side, light and shadow with Juno and Lilith there. So it's going to be interesting. We'll take a look at it. And I have some cards with me here as well to take some additional messages at the end. And I will timestamp this as well. I'll also look at the chart against the UK's chart like I usually do to give some context on the house system. But just, you know, so that you're aware, of course, if you're looking at a chart and you're looking at what your first house might be, so your rising sign is essentially your first house, but because charts are so unique, you might have 2 or 3 signs in your first house. You might not, but this is what makes the natal chart unique. And I feel it's very much the soul's blueprint. It's unique to us as an individual. And if you're a Libra rising, of course, you can say, well, yeah, I'm a Libra rising. Libra is my first house. And of course, the sun and the moon will be there. This is where the eclipse is going to happen. So that's all happening in the first house of self for Libra risings. When you look at other signs, use me as an example. I'm a Pisces, but I have a Virgo rising. Okay, that's my opposite sign. So my Virgo rising, my Virgo ascendant would then say, okay, Kirsty, this should be happening in your second house. And in actual fact, it is. It's happening in my house of worth and values. And it just so happens that my own natal Pluto is 21 degrees. So this sun and moon and the eclipse is going to be exactly on top of my own Pluto in that house. So it's going to be pretty intense. That's just, just to give you an example. But also a friend of mine who is an Aquarius rising, okay, another divine feminine light worker, for an Aquarius rising, that should be happening in her 9th house. But actually it's happening in her 8th house because of how her chart is, because she's got different energy going on in those houses. So it just goes to show that we can say things, and I'll be a poet now, from a collective perspective. But until we look at our own chart and understand how our own chart works, okay, that's going to give us the real kind of granular information that we need for things like this, okay? That's just me going off on one with that one. So let's pull up the chart, okay? Without further ado, let's see what's going on. And for those of you sensitive to this energy, you may already be feeling this. I know I am. It's very intense out there, folks. And certainly when Pluto came direct, station direct is now direct, I felt it then. You know, this is a heavy moment, really, in terms of the astrological energy that's going on. So if you are sensitive to that, and particularly if you are sensitive to the lunar energy, whether that's for the new moon or the full moon, then this could be a very big time, a very pivotal time. And eclipses as well, on top of all of this, you know, this is going to heighten the energy somewhat. And as I mentioned, it's like a portal energy. And we want this newness. We want to bring in balance with the Libra energy. We want to manifest that in our lives. Of course we do. We want that justice for ourselves. We're trying to build a foundation that's fair and balanced. So, you know, the eclipse might just force change that needs to happen. Okay, because bearing in mind we've come out of this deep transformation and it's like it's now time to get acting on it. The eclipse could heighten this energy, could force the change that needs to happen, and can also illuminate things a lot more clearly for us as well that could have been hidden. Okay, so just going to take my specs off so I can get closer to the screen here to see the details. Now this is what I've looked at earlier today. Okay, at the time of the new moon in Libra with this eclipse, okay, we have got over here, and as I say, I will put this chart against the UK's chart to give context, but we have all this Libra energy going on, and we've got Pallas there, we've got Mercury, we've of course got the sun and the moon at 21 degrees, their conjunction because of the new moon, and then we have the south node 24 degrees, so also in conjunction with that. We've got Mars sitting there, although Mars is now in Scorpio, and Ceres. Okay, so that's just that compact kind of energy all together. All right, but recognizing there's two different signs going on here. And even though there are trines in this chart, which is the positive, harmonious aspects, I was drawn to mention a particular square that's going on, as well as the opposition energy that I referred to at the beginning, and some sextile energy. So that's also harmonious. Now, there are trines going on. You might be able to see with these triangles that are going through the middle of the chart here. And I'm not going to labour the point on this too much, but there is a trine, for example, from Pluto to Uranus. So Pluto in Capricorn, now direct, as I said, now moving forward, you know, with this transformation that he's been calling us to do in Saturn's home of Capricorn. There is a trine to Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus is in retrograde, of course, offering us further introspection on what needs to change. And it could be unexpected change that forces further change. And this relates to our worth and values because it's Taurus energy. So there is that trine. So Pluto now direct is, of course, helping facilitate the change that needs to happen. And this is why with this eclipse season, it could just force along the change that's needed for our highest good, of course. But, you know, that's why there's a harmonious aspect there between the two of those relating to change and transformation. There's also trines going on from Saturn down to Vesta, which I've covered before. Of course, that's sacred flame energy. And when we know what sparks that flame within and we're going towards it, that's enabling us to get closer to our spiritual truth and in line with our spiritual truth. Saturn is in Pisces, the house of the divine. So, of course, that's making Saturn happy because we're learning the lessons. We are cleansing the karma in that respect. But let's look at the square that I was drawn to. Okay, so we're going to go back to the sun and the moon. And we're also going to look at the south node and Mars, because there is a square going across to Pluto. Okay, so squares can represent challenging energy in astrology. And with this new moon and eclipse going on, bearing in mind this could be showing us a lot of things, this could be revealing a lot of things to us and heightening the energy of change that's needed. It could be challenging because where we're having to deeply transform certain aspects of our lives, Pluto energy, relating to our structures, our rules, okay, that regimented approach we've perhaps had for ourselves that might not be working. Okay, this is all Capricornian type energy, but not only that, karmic situations, because we've got to take that into the mix with the south node here. So south node is, of course, where we've come from. North node is where we're heading towards because that's our true purpose. So the south node is kind of like that foundation, but not the foundation we want to build necessarily. We're trying to cleanse the karma to then build a new foundation. This is taken into account any sort of past life stuff that might have been coming up during the Pluto retrograde, during the Saturnian lessons. You know, we're trying to understand why certain patterns are happening for us, why we've got to learn these lessons once and for all, because we're going round and round repeating the same. Well, it could be past life related. So we've got to take all that into the mix. And with the South Node now being in Libra, establishing that fairness and that balance, we're needing to cleanse that karma as a result, to understand why certain things have been coming up. And if they do relate to a past life, to be able to accept that, acknowledge it, but process it, heal from it accordingly, whatever needs to happen, to make changes, which is what this energy is all about. So the square between all of that energy and Pluto is just indicating some challenging energy. And I feel it's more like friction within the self, because we've got the soul essence of the cosmos with the sun, we've got our emotions with the moon, and of course all of this karmic stuff going on as well. Not to mention the masculine energy of Mars, okay, also in the mix here, because this is our drive to get things done. And being in Scorpio, there is that kind of activation of the sort of, you know, the passionate, fiery side. It's very heavy masculine energy. But of course, Pluto rules Scorpio. So Mars is in, you know, Pluto's sign, if you like, and it's kind of double whammy of this masculine energy. So could be really, really chomping at the bit to get things done, but also needing to make sure it's done in a balanced way. So that's why there could be that inner friction. We want to prevent, of course, friction with other people, but where change is needed, that might just be something we need to go through. And I'll come on to the whole Mercury Chiron opposition in a minute. But this square is certainly about the challenge when it comes to our deep transformation that Pluto is calling for, and how our soul is responding to that, because we want to establish fairness, but we also need to sort out this karmic stuff. We've got to get this sorted one way or another. And, you know, the eclipse energy could force that, okay, to happen, because we need to be understanding how sovereign we are, how divine we are. And if we're still holding on to things that make us believe that we're not sovereign, or we're less than, you know, we're not worthy of all these divine opportunities, and that relates to a past life, or that relates to a karmic situation we've had to go through, well, this is time now for us to learn the lesson. So it's also making Saturn happy, of course. And there are some trines going across, you know, from Saturn, which I haven't highlighted, but this is where it's making Saturn happy. But it's challenging the deep transformation, because it's deep. You know, we've got to go within the soul here and really understand what needs to transform and make those changes, because Mars wants to get that change sorted. We've also got to balance with the feminine energy and nurture ourselves through this, but we need to take action also. So all of this could be being highlighted at this time. Okay, and I mentioned Mercury. So Mercury is at 17 degrees Libra, and of course over here in Aries we've got Chiron 17 degrees. Okay, so there's a direct opposition, and oppositions can also provide challenging energy. It's like that push-pull type energy. But if we're aware of these things, we can allow the energy to work for us. Okay, and everything is working for us and supporting us, even though it might feel like it's not. But this is all for our highest good. So Chiron in Aries is very much our healing journey of our sovereignty, the self. And Mercury is all about communication and expression. But there is also that element of needing to investigate certain aspects as well. Okay, it can also correspond to our thoughts and how we communicate with ourselves through our thoughts. There can be trickster type energy to Mercury as well, depending on what else is going on. So we need to be mindful of that, especially if we're prone to overthinking. With all of this deep transformation going on, that could be something that's happening. So we need to be fair with ourselves when it comes to that. But this direct opposition is just maybe challenging a bit of the sovereignty. And I feel that this relates to the friction, the inner friction that I spoke about, because if we're feeling that within, maybe we're struggling to find it within us, to express what we need to bring that fairness in, because perhaps it's challenging our sovereignty. You know, this is about standing up for ourselves. That's what I feel here. Okay, this is about standing up for ourselves as sovereign beings and healing ourselves through that process. But the challenge is, okay, we want to be fair, we want to be reasonable, but we also want to bring in justice for ourselves. So if it's something that we feel and we know inherently within is not fair, then we need to be empowered to speak about that. But that's where it could just challenge us, because, you know, with this potent energy, and it's very much heightened with the eclipse as well, it could be quite overwhelming. So it could just challenge that sovereignty within us of expressing and speaking up. But it's all part of the healing journey anyway, because we're growing through all of this. Okay. Remember, we've still got the South Node there that I keep looking at. So this is very much, you know, the karmic stuff. And maybe, you know, for certain members of the collective, it's not going to resonate for everybody. But if you've always kind of struggled with speaking up, and now you're only just finding your power in terms of speaking up, this is very much a test of that, because it's the fairness versus the sovereignty. But you see how it can work together instead of against each other. We can empower ourselves to remain in our sovereign being essence, and also speak up for what we believe is true and what we believe is fair and what we believe is actual justice in situations, okay, which could pertain to relationships because of the Libra energy, but isn't limited to that. Okay, so that is one of the direct oppositions going on there. And we've also got Ceres in Scorpio opposite Taurus, Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so of course, opposite signs, there is 1 degree difference. So it's not an exact opposition, unlike the Chiron Mercury opposition, but it's close enough. And Jupiter is retrograde. So of course, inner growth and expansion, because we take that expansive energy of Jupiter and we need to turn it inside, because it's introspection, it's a retrograde. And this relates to our worth and values. So noting that Uranus is also there, prompting change. Pluto's in trine, so the deep transformation is heavily connected to this. So the inner expansion that's going on is enabling this change. It's facilitating this change when it comes to worth and values, but it could feel uncomfortable, because where we're having to expand and grow internally, maybe that's through discovery of all these things that are out of alignment with our worth and values that need to change. So Ceres is actually opposite, and Ceres is kind of mini Jupiter energy, or mini times infinity Jupiter energy, but still expansive energy. So she's in Scorpio with Mars, expanding and nurturing the masculine energy there, okay, because we know the masculine energy wants to get going. So there's a nurturing aspect there, but also a kind of expansion of that, which is why I said about the friction, chomping to the bit, or chomping on the bit, whatever the expression is. Don't know if that is an expression or one I've just made up, but you know what I mean? It's like wanting to get going and just get things done, but needing to hold your horses, that kind of thing. So Ceres is expanding that and opposing Jupiter. You know, we've got the depth of the scorpionic kind of essence there, and Jupiter, that inner growth. So using the energy to work together, this is recognizing and embracing the depth of the expansion that could be happening here, okay? Because it's Ceres in Scorpio, so it's you know, not the same as Pluto, because that is deep transformation, but this is still deep because Ceres is in Scorpio and offers expansive energy. And you know, recognizing that with Jupiter offering the inner growth and expansion, we're understanding more about our worth and values and what needs to change, because it's being expanded for us. Yeah. The other opposition to mention is Lilith and Juno, both feminine energies, both in Leo, both 28 degrees, exactly conjunct one another. So they're on top of one another. So heightening the divine feminine energy, but also we've got the shadow feminine Lilith and the light feminine Juno, okay? And there is an opposition to Saturn, not exact, again, there's a couple of degrees difference, but you know, that's all happening here because of the house, all right? So although it's a different sign, okay, because bearing in mind, Saturn is now 0 degrees Pisces, He was 1 degree Pisces a few days ago because there was an exact opposition with Venus. Well, we can see here Venus has moved on since then. But, you know, this is why it's interesting looking at the energy of the time, the transits of the time. So there is this opposition energy between getting ourselves in line with our spiritual truth, learning the Saturnian lessons, receiving the karmic returns, whether they are blessings or whether they are more lessons that we're having to go through because of karma, and understanding this is connected to the shadow feminine aspects. So any sort of, you know, anxieties, doubts and fears that might be coming up from feminine type wounds in that way, fear to create, fear of being seen, alongside Juno, which is all about love. So there could be fears around opening ourselves up to love. Venus is also there, admittedly in Virgo now. But, you know, there could be deep-rooted fears about this. So Saturn is kind of showing us this as part of these lessons, as part of the karma that he's serving up for us to pay attention to, which could also be connected to the South Node. And what I'm saying here, how the South Node at this point is going to be exactly, you know, in this position, sort of sandwiched between Mars and the Sun and the Moon, almost kind of like being emphasized as this karmic, what's the word? I wanted to say buffer, but, you know, it's kind of like what we've got to take notice of in order for us to then be able to take action. We need to understand this stuff before we can take action going forward on our journey. Hope that's making sense. But yes, I won't labour that point too much. We'll see where these are transiting in the UK's chart. And of course, when you look at your own chart, understand where your own placements are, and then look at the transits against those placements and see what's happening. So I'll use myself as another example. This Lilith and Juno exact conjunction is 1 degree off my North Node. So again, with everything that's going on with the Sun and the Moon and the eclipse, there's also this heavy energy of Lilith and Juno on top of my purpose, my North Node. Okay, so this is very much about what shadow aspects are coming up. It's very much tied in for me with past life karmic situations, as well as situations in this lifetime. So, you know, there could be resonance with this for those of you out there, depending on where this is happening. Okay. And it's heavily rooted in transformation for me, because my Pluto is 21 degrees Libra, exactly the same degrees as what the Sun and the Moon are going to be. So, you know, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be intense. And that energy of Mercury and Chiron challenging the healing journey, we've all got to sort of pay attention to that, because we want to uphold our sovereignty, and we want to be able to express where we feel things are not balanced and not reciprocal and not fair. But it may just be challenging that a little bit because of these fears and doubts that could be being highlighted, or, you know, not feeling like we're being seen or not being recognized with the Leo energy there. You know, also the heart space, feeling like we can't open our heart to love because of things of the past. It's all tied into that kind of stuff. So Saturn is almost kind of like in that opposite position, shining a torch, you know, at Lilith and Juno, kind of like, right, what's going on here? Let's get this sorted out. You know, let's try and balance the feminine energy, because we need light and shadow to balance out. It's an exact conjunction, so it is balanced in that way. But we need to understand what's coming up. Okay. Now let's cover the sextiles. Let's go back to the positive aspects here. So we have got here a sextile between, interestingly, Lilith and Juno and Mars. So there is this sextile between the feminine energy and the masculine energy. So this is where, once we establish what these kind of fears might be or anxieties, what the shadow side of Lilith is teaching us when it comes to matters of the heart, Leo energy, being seen, Leo energy, that full expression of self from the soul, Leo energy. When we can understand that and nurture ourselves through with the Juno energy as well, when it comes to love, you know, in whatever way that might be, that's working in harmony with the masculine energy in Scorpio. So there is passionate energy here. And if you look at just feminine and masculine energy, okay, Lilith and Juno are asteroids, Mars is a planet, so the masculine energy may be perceived as stronger in this position. However, it's still a balance of the two, because bear in mind we've got Ceres also with Mars in Scorpio, so it's almost like, you know, he's surrounded by the feminine energy there. But there is this harmonious aspect between, you know, the masculine and feminine energy, certainly when it comes to the deep-rooted desires that Mars is, of course, showing us in Scorpio. And, you know, the feminine energy of wanting to be seen, but needing to address these fears and doubts that might be coming up, okay? Or the fear of being open to receive that energy, okay? The other sextile is from Venus to Vesta. So we've got, again, feminine energy. So there's quite a lot of feminine energy here. And it also makes me think, just reflect of the Empress in Tarot. So that's come up for a reason, because that's all about creation. It's about manifestation. It's Venus in Taurus energy, because it's all about, you know, knowing one's worth and actually manifesting from that place of being, creating. It's the birth of a new beginning. Okay, so recognizing that with Venus and Vesta, this is embodying that Empress energy, because it's, of course, understanding where we're investing our resources, like I've said before, with the Venus energy. And with Venus in Virgo, we could maybe be critical of where we're investing our resources, and maybe we have to be critical because we need to understand, is that investment in whatever way it is bringing us that reciprocal return? And if not, maybe something needs to change. But particularly when it comes to the Vesta energy, the sacred flame, okay, and that's all about, you know, what sparks that flame within. There's creative energy to it as well. There's sacral energy as a result, you know, and this is about, you know, goddess Bridget energy as well. So again, new beginnings. And we need to understand that when we know what we want to do, what we want to create, what we want to go towards, what we want to manifest, this is, of course, helping us with the Venus energy and vice versa, because when we know what we love, what brings us joy, what makes our heart happy, we can manifest from that place of joy to receive joy back. Okay. And I think that's all I need to say on that one. But it's very important to look at where we are investing our resources: time, energy, money, love, attention, all of which is valuable to us. And are we investing in those places, those people that bring us joy? So it's understanding how that ties in with the sacred flame energy as well. And then any fears that are coming up because of Lilith, any aspects, the shadow aspects we need to be mindful of to nurture ourselves through, is then assisting the masculine energy with the depth of this, whether that's desires, passion, going after what we want, being passionate about that. Okay, fabulous. So let's stop sharing that one, and I will pull up the other chart, which has the transits against the UK's chart. So exactly what you saw on the other screen, I have added that onto this one. Admittedly, there's limited space with the circle in the middle because it's two charts on top of one another, but we'll go with it. I think you get the point I'm trying to make with it anyway. So this is where the UK's natal chart is the center chart, and then we've got the outer wheel, which is the new moon in Libra with eclipse, 1855 for us in the UK on Saturday. So that's actually happening in the 4th house, okay, for the UK. So that's the house of the foundations. So as a collective, you can say, right, okay, this new moon, solar eclipse with the conjunction with the South Node is happening in our foundations. So what could be heightened within our foundations when it comes to fairness, reciprocity, and balance? And of course, Mars is also there with Ceres. Even though they're in Scorpio, it's still in the 4th house. So there's heavy energy in our foundations. And that could make us feel a bit kind of shaky, not very stable, because we're wanting to build this foundation that's balanced and fair. But again, the South Node there is just reminding us of perhaps the karmic situations, the past life influences that are coming up as patterns in order to help us restore balance in our lives. Again, it's all happening for us. This is all meant to help us, but it can feel challenging because of that square that I mentioned to Pluto. And Pluto is over here in the 6th house, okay? So that's to do with where we are of service to others and our daily routines and schedules. So within our foundations, we want to manifest and bring in balance and reciprocity. But if we're being of service to others and it's not very fair and balanced, of course, that's going to heighten the energy and bring the challenging energy forth. Yeah. But with Pluto there, it's like, well, this might be one of the things you've identified during my retrograde that need to transform deeply. It could also be the daily routines and schedules. So, okay, I want to build this foundation that's fair. I want to manifest in this new beginning that, is going to work better for me. It's going to be more reciprocal. It's going to, there's going to be equal give and take, etc. And that's what I want to manifest. But maybe some challenges around my daily routines and schedules. And that's what needs to transform. So it's understanding what this might be teaching you within your lives. Okay. But again, this is just giving you a glimpse at collective energy. It's by no means going to tell you your exact situation. That's your natal chart against the transits. That's going to give you much better idea. Okay, because as I've already explained to you, I'm part of the UK collective, but my natal chart against this is showing that the new moon and the eclipse is happening in my second house. So that's to give you an example that I can look at this from a collective point of view, and I can resonate with that about foundations and daily routines that need to change. But actually, it's all going on in my second house of worth and values. And interestingly, that's where Lilith and Juno are for this particular chart. Okay, so that's why I say, looking at your chart, perfect opportunity to see how it's going to work for you. And this is why I do offer the moon scopes, because it's a personalized horoscope for you for the new moon or the full moon, okay, to give that kind of idea. So yeah, that square to Pluto I've mentioned. We've also got, as I said, the sextiles going on. So Mars, we know, is in the 4th house, and the sextile across to Lilith and Juno in the 2nd house of worth and values. So absolutely, any kind of shadow aspects of the fear of being seen, the fear of being recognized, because maybe we don't know our worth fully, and how that's challenging us in some respects, but how it's working with the masculine energy to go deep in order to understand what we need to take action on, and to have the courage to take action on with that masculine energy. The other one that we saw was Venus, of course, and that is sextiling Vesta, which is in the 12th house. So those kind of hidden, or maybe even subconscious sacral desires, or what you want to create, could be hidden from you. You might just be discovering that. It could be deep rooted within the soul of what you actually want to pursue. But the Venus energy is assisting with that. So again, a reminder, where are you investing your resources? And if there's something that you want to do and you are investing your time in it, you are giving it your attention, is it then giving you back the returns? Is it making your Venus energy happy? Is it making your heart happy? Understanding that, because the energy is certainly there to support it when it relates to the sacred flame and what we want to go after in our lives. Now, recognize that here we've got Vesta in conjunction with the North Node of the UK. So yes, in general terms, our purpose in terms of what we're striving towards, there is this heightened energy here with Vesta, because of course it's connected. What we want to go towards from our sacral is often where we're heading when it comes to our purpose. So it could be something very creative that we want to do that feels like a dream, but we want to go and do it because it makes our heart happy. So that's where the energy can work together with Venus. And of course, it's just heightening here for the UK because it's on top of pretty much 6 degrees off the North Node. Okay. Also in the same house, we've got the UK's natal Mars and the UK's natal Pluto. So it's also heightening the masculine energy and the transformation energy. So it's tied in with that as well. Okay. The direct oppositions. So I mentioned about Mercury, which is down here in the 4th house, okay, opposite Chiron, and that's in the 10th house. So yes, house of inner authority, also work, also social status, and that's where the North Node is transiting through. So it's still connected to purpose here. And this is very much about us remaining in our sovereignty and having the courage to speak up, because this is enabling us to do so in the house of our inner authority. It's empowering us further within our sovereignty to speak up where we know that things are not fair and reciprocal. And that expression, you know, within the Mercury energy down here, within the foundations, understanding what's not fair and balanced in our foundations, and then having that inner authority and sovereignty to speak up about it is what's assisting the healing journey. And it's also, for the UK collective, part of the soul's growth, because Chiron is 4 degrees away from the UK's natal sun, so the soul essence, okay, of the chart. Okay, so it's very empowering from a soul essence point of view. We've also got Ceres in the 4th house, as we saw, with Jupiter. So that's in the 10th house also. So this inner authority when it comes to worth and values, yes, absolutely. The expansive energy going within that inner growth is also helping the inner authority. It's also helping the sovereignty. It's also guiding us towards our purpose and the self as well. So we're looking at the self and worth and values because we've got Aries and Taurus energy here, and how that's being, you know, expanded upon within us. That's enabling us to grow because we're expanding further as we're learning more. Okay, we're expanding further, and just, you know, how that opposition energy to Ceres, we can allow it to work for us by allowing the deeper expansion to happen as a result. Could feel uncomfortable. That's why it's opposition energy, but it's actually helping us expand further. Okay, so we're becoming more of our sovereign self as a result. Okay, and then we have the other opposition, which is Saturn, okay, with Lilith and Juno. So Saturn is in the 8th house of power. Okay, he's in Scorpio's house, so it's a deep house, and you know, just challenging that Lilith and Juno energy of being seen, because that's also in the house of worth and values, and it's kind of, Saturn is trying to empower us to become more worthy, to feel more worthy of being seen, of being recognized, of being able to open our heart chakra. Saturn is just highlighting this, and Lilith is showing us where we might still need to heal. Okay, remember there is that sextile to Mars, so there is that masculine energy that is supporting the feminine, just as the feminine energy is supporting the masculine. So that's good to see. But Saturn is massive energy that is really showing us, okay, we've got to empower ourselves here, and you need to understand what you're worthy of and to nurture yourself through this, because these are lessons that need to be learned. This is all about Saturn at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay, and I know I haven't drawn it on here, but Pluto, there was that trine to Uranus, of course, and Uranus is over here in Taurus in the 11th house. So that's all about connections with other people. So where might connections with other people need to change in accordance with our worth and values? Once we understand this energy going on in the 2nd house, where Lilith is transiting through, where Juno is, where Venus is, you know, this is all about matters of the heart, and how worthy we feel of being open to receive love, how worthy we feel of being seen, of being recognized, of being courageous, and how that might tie in with our connections with others because of the Taurus energy here, and what might need to change because Pluto is working in harmony with Uranus to allow this change to happen for our highest good. Okay, because it might be that we're in a situation where somebody is no longer in alignment with our worth and values because we've evolved, or they've evolved, and it's just changed. Things have changed. So it's a natural evolution of a connection. Or it might be a karmic situation where perhaps something in the past or somebody in the past has made you feel not worthy of being seen, not worthy of being recognized. So Lilith is bringing this up to show us. And Saturn is kind of shining that light on it and saying, okay, this is a lesson you need to learn. This is due to karma from the past. Okay, just going to highlight it a bit by opposing this energy and shining that kind of like torch on you, just to understand, and then you can nurture yourself through this, understand you are worthy of being loved and receiving love, you know, in that way, and working with the Venus energy to look at your investments, because then you're learning the Saturn lesson. Because if you look at your investments and you realize, yeah, I've been investing too much of my time and my energy in something from the past that made me feel like rubbish, you know, made me feel not worthy of receiving love, when actually I am worthy of receiving love. So perhaps that connection okay, from the past needs to change. And that's enabling the deep transformation that Pluto's calling for in the house of, you know, being of service to others, but also daily routines and schedules. So if it's somebody, you know, that you're connecting to now, but there is a past link to this, this could be resonating for you, because you might be still of service to this person in some way, or you could be interacting with them as part of your daily routines and schedules. But it may be that something needs to change in the connection, because perhaps something has made you feel unworthy of being seen in that connection. It could be a karmic situation. It doesn't have to be. This is just an example, okay? But connections with others, this has been an emphasis for a while for us in the UK, because Uranus has been in the 11th house for a time. So this is definitely about what needs to change when it comes to our worth and values relating to connections with others, okay? Venus is also there. So it's a reminder of our Venus energy. Where are we investing it? But more importantly, who are we investing our time, energy, emotions, attention, love, money into when it comes to connections with others? Yeah. So it's looking at it from that perspective as well. Okay. So let's stop sharing. And I think that was all I wanted to cover from the astrology perspective, but let's have a look at the cards. Okay. And I'm going to put my specs back on for this. Right, I've got many decks here. Got the Lightseers Tarot deck. I've got my new deck, The Unfolding Path. I'm going to actually do a separate video, and that will be for each sign, for each zodiac sign, and what they need to know. Okay, I might do it in relation to Pluto, okay, because that feels quite prominent in terms of this deep transformation, but also, you know, this new moon coming up. So I'm going to feel into it a bit more and see what I'm guided to do. But I certainly feel that there is a message in there for the zodiac signs. But let's take some messages from these decks now. I'm going to start off with the Moonology Manifestation deck, because of course it's a new moon, so this is all about manifestations. So let's see what we have for the collective. For the new moon in Libra, please, with the eclipse. What does the collective need to know? That was quite heavy energy through the cards. Wow. Okay. So we have got make time for self-love. And that is actually Libra energy, although it's last quarter moon, but it's still Libra energy. We've got here, focus on the positive in reverse. Now, that's not to say focus on the negative. Cool your emotions. That's full moon in Aries. We've just had that full moon in Aries. That was the last full moon that we had. So from that full moon to now, that might have actually shown you a few things, okay? And it may have even shown you some negative things that need to transform. And as a result, make time for self-love. But that's a very important message anyway. This is all about understanding that you need to hold on to the positive, even from painful situations or challenging situations that you're trying to release, you're trying to purge. We need to take the wisdom from those to carry them forward. And that becomes our gratitude for it, even though we can leave the pain in the past. That's what I feel that's saying to me. Okay. And call your emotions, especially with Mars in Scorpio, because there can be that kind of fiery side to that as well. And recognizing that this new moon is happening with an eclipse. So yes, it could be heightened emotions. So just need to be mindful of that. Okay. But underneath, go for it. This is all about going for what you want to manifest in your life to bring about that fairness and reciprocity. Let's go with the Queen of the Moon. Get another moon card, another moon message for you. Perfect. Release. Of course, very much appropriate for a full moon with the releasing energy. However, we can release at any time. It's just the lunar energy is very powerful around a full moon to support us with that. this feels like it's very much connected to the heart chakra energy that I spoke about, because we've got light emanating from our heart chakra and these butterflies, which symbolize the transformation. When we release what is not serving us, when we can make that energetic space, because of course we're wanting to manifest in, but if there's no energetic space for it because we're holding on to the old that's not serving us, there's no space for it. So we need to release. So it's setting those intentions to release, you know, it's manifesting and setting intentions for what you want to bring into your life, but understanding that you need to release anything that's no longer serving your highest good. Okay, and allowing that to happen. On the bottom, you see we have the unexpected in reverse. So try and release expectation of outcome with all of this and be open to unexpected moments. Okay, because it could be this unexpected change as a result of the eclipse. Okay, let's see, wisdom of the oracle. Go with the oracles first. So we have for the collective. Thank you. Okay, we've got community and breathe. So this is about finding your tribe of people, okay, or your person that is allowing you to be at peace, to feel safe, to feel calm, okay. And also that is more balanced energy when we think of Libra, but it's understanding your tribe at the end of the day. Very much so. And on the bottom, all that glitters. So understand that all that glitters is not always gold, okay. It's needing to look at things from a different perspective often, okay. Astro deck. Let's see if we can have additional messages from the Astro deck. Ninth house, exploration. Yeah, so that's Sagittarius's house, and it's very much about learning. It's very much about being on a journey, being on a quest of discovery, and we are discovering a lot through all of this that's been happening. We're discovering more about who we are, about our associations, about what we want to do, where we're investing our resources and where we need to make changes. So it's a lot. It can be overwhelming. You know, there's a lot going on. On the bottom, Uranus, okay, that's change, which we were talking about. And underneath that, root, okay, that's the Imam Kohli, if I've pronounced that correctly, but you can find that in your natal chart as well. So that gives you your root, that gives you your foundation almost, okay, within your blueprint. And then we have Pisces, okay, so that is very sensitive energy, of course. It's very empathic energy. It's trusting your intuition with all of this. And fourth house of home, foundations. So I've just mentioned about a lot going on, especially for the UK's chart within the fourth house of foundations. So there may be some emotions coming up where it could be being sensitive to that because of the change that's needed. So getting grounded is important. I'm also getting from this wisdom is needed. And when you put these two together, Pisces with the tree, so we're not looking at that now, but you know, the wisdom that I'm getting intuitively, this is about your intuition and the wisdom that's in your soul bank, okay, that you already know inherently within, to allow for the change based on what you're discovering, okay. Okay, Lightseer's Tarot. Let's go for Lightseer's Tarot. Let's see what messages we have from the Lightseer's Tarot for the new moon. Don't think that deck wants to play with me. Let's try the traditional universal weight. That felt better. Yeah. See, everything is energy. Okay, what does the collective need to know, please? For their highest good. New moon. Ooh. Eight of Pentacles. This is putting the work and effort into something. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? Oh, there we go. There's the Empress. This is why I had to use this deck. You see what I mean? There's signs all over the place. All right. Okay. That's the creation energy, manifestation energy. It is, of course, divine feminine energy. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight of the deck. And in reverse, that could indicate that things are actually going faster than you believe. There could be some resistance to moving towards stability as well. That's another message. Okay, we'll see what else comes out, those two. Yeah, so we've got those two that came out together, 8 of Wands in reverse and the Queen of Swords in reverse. This is about needing to be cold and detached when it comes to communication. Now, very interesting because of what's going on, as I mentioned, about the Mercury opposition to Chiron at this point of the new moon with the eclipse. Okay, that exact opposition, 17 degrees. So the need to be, cold and detached, to not bring emotions into this, because where communication is needed, it's needed to bring in the fairness. And that's what enables the movement, because 8 of Wands is also a movement card. There's stagnancy because this is needed. Cutting through, communicating, getting your message across. Okay. Let's, yeah, that one more. King of Wands. Yeah, going after what you want. Okay. Get a final one, please. To bring in balance. 6 of Pentacles. Yeah. So on the bottom, wowzers. Okay, we have the 4 of Wands, the 11-11 card. So this is all about alignment, but this could also symbolize union of some kind. Okay. But there is that need for self-love, and we saw that in the Oracle card as well. So there is a need to fill your cup up for yourself, and this is basically by doing this, putting the work and effort into something that you want to create, something that you want to go towards, something that you're passionate about. Wands energy that's going to bring in the balance. The challenging energy comes in when the conversation needs to happen in order to change something. Okay, but that enables movement towards stability where there's a bit of resistance at the moment, but also understanding that things are happening behind the scenes. Okay, this eclipse energy could speed things up in that way. Because we've had that on the bottom, I'm going to use the Unfolding Path Tarot to see if we have any love messages. Okay, one more shuffle. Do we have any love messages, please? Any love messages for the collective? Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, what else do we have? Do you know what I feel from that? The power is in your hands. Oh, 7 of Swordsy. Right, let's see why 7 of Swordsy is there. That energy wanted to go all over the place. Right. Okay, so let's ground that, please. We have got here the 9 of Cups and the Hierophant. Okay, this could relate to a Taurus, doesn't have to. But this is about wish fulfillment, when you can get into spiritual alignment with yourself. Okay, Hierophant can also represent marriage in this way. And I actually do feel, even though I'm not a fan of this card, but there's many different meanings to it. But because we've got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, this is about saying the power's in your hand. Don't self-sabotage something. Don't self-sabotage an opportunity. Okay. Let's see if we've got anything else, please, for love. Yeah, look at that. Clarity, discovery, because it's the Page of Swords. This is about learning something about a situation. And it's also about communication, but it's Page energy. Okay. So there may be that, that fear. And we saw the Queen of Swords in reverse. So it's almost like the growth is needed in that confidence of communication to express where something needs to change, because the power is in your hands to bring in that stability for yourself between you and another person. Okay, final message in love for the collective. Thank you. 7 of Pentacles in reverse. So this is about, and that one wants to come out as well. Oh, wow, that's why. 7 of Cups. So we've got 7-7. That's a divine master number. On the bottom, we've got, this is so interesting, we've got death in reverse. But if you look at it that way, she's in the upright position. This is facing the transformation head on, okay, but it's in the hidden energy. So there is a need to face this deep transformation head on because it's enabling this union energy to come into fruition, okay, but it might feel uncomfortable. But this is about, you know, with these 2 sevens as well, it's very divinely guided. There may be a sort of impatience to it and also a bit of confusion about certain options. And that could relate to past options and maybe not being able to trust something when it comes to emotional fulfillment because of too many options in the past. But it's almost saying as well, it's time to take action because, you know, 7 of Pentacles is in reverse. So maybe it's time to grow something new, okay? But there is that resistance around it. Remember, 7 and 1 is 8, and we saw the 8 of Pentacles, putting work and effort into something. Maybe there's some resistance to that because accepting this other Ace of Pentacles means that that is the work that's needed. But because of potential confusion or illusion around other opportunities or choices when it comes to love or emotional fulfillment and happiness, it's understanding that not everything in the cups is as it seems. We see that on other decks that, you know, it might be, it's not as it seems. In fact, let me find it in the Light Seeds Tarot deck, and then we can have a look at the different depictions, which is why I love using different decks. So we're looking for the 7 of Cups. Thank you for bearing with me because it might end up being the final card. No, there it is. So in that deck, here you go. So, you know, there is that, what do I pick? What do I choose? There's too many options. And we can see a snake here, you know, that it's kind of like you don't really know what's within each of the cups. Just like here, you know, she doesn't know what's in those cups and she's holding 2. And the 2 of Cups is, of course, the soulmate card. So it's almost like I've got 2 in my hand, but is there another one that I can pick? So, you know, it's being mindful that there may be options, but perhaps understanding and accepting that only one option is going to enable this new stable beginning, and that there might be resistance to that or fear because of opening the heart chakra to love, and therefore it's easier to say, oh, I don't know about that, I'll look at something else, when the reality is, no, maybe the thing that you're holding is actually what's going to bring you that emotional fulfillment and that joy, but there's a need to not resist, you know, the stability that could come from it. And that could come from fear, that could come from, you know, past pain. What I've mentioned in the astrology with what Lilith is showing us, it could relate to all of that about being seen, the fear of being seen in the connection, the fear of being seen by someone else as your vulnerable self, because you've had to go through a lot of healing. But, you know, literally that energy is there, union energy, but it's hidden. And Ace of Cups is in reverse. So self-love has got to come into this. There is a need to nurture ourselves and to not self-sabotage a situation, okay? Because we've got major arcana energy here. We've got Taurus energy and we've got Taurus energy. So we have got Taurus energy here, folks. We've got Pentacles, Cups, Swords, and we've got Wands as well. So all the elements are here as well, which brings that balance way forward. But it's understanding what it is you want to go towards. You know, what is that opportunity that is going to lead you to what you want? And then in terms of love, being able to open yourself to this wish fulfillment, okay? Because there's liberation from that, there's joy. But you see, what's the difference between those two? 7 and 9. 2 of Cups, okay? So soulmate energy. So soulmate energy is going to bring in this wish fulfillment. But at the moment, you could be sat there thinking, right, okay, I've got these 2 cups here. Is that what I want? Okay, or do I need to look elsewhere? Well, understand that there could be a soulmate energy presenting itself to you that you need to put the work and effort into in order to receive that wish fulfillment energy. Okay, something needs to transform in a situation and you need to face it head on. Okay, right. Okay, I think those are the messages for you then. As I say, I might do that tarot reading for all signs. I'll see how I feel and what I'm guided to do with that. But I hope this serves you well in some way and gives you some insight into the transits, certainly with the astrology of the new moon with the eclipse, you know, very powerful energy. So in terms of your manifestations, okay, ensuring that your intention setting is all about bringing in the balance, bringing in the reciprocity, bringing in the fairness and being fair to yourself in the process, but speaking up where you need to, okay, with that direct opposition that's going on, because it's all helping the healing journey at the same time in terms of the sovereignty, okay? And actually what I'll do is I'll pull one final card from the Gilded Tarot Royale, which is my sovereign deck. And let's see if there is a final message. Is there a final message, please, for the collective, for this new moon and eclipse when it comes to sovereignty? The Magician in reverse. Yeah, you need to understand that you've got the power to create and manifest the reality you desire. Okay. 2 of Wands in reverse on the bottom. So this is about kind of fear of taking the path less traveled. It's a step out of the comfort zone and there could be some resistance to that. It's a choice card. Okay. So you've got the free will, the choice to manifest the reality you desire. But understand that we manifest negative as well as positive. So we need to ensure it's in line with our spiritual truth. Okay. And using all of those tools in our spiritual toolkit that we have, it's alchemy, you know, it's creating that energy. This is actually Gemini energy, if that resonates for you. But you know, we are the magicians of our life. We're the co-creators of our reality with the universe. We need to meet the universe halfway by accepting our powers, owning our powers in terms of our manifestations, and then setting those intentions, meeting the universe halfway. Okay. And if it's all coming from a place of divine alignment, of course, that's going to see us through in terms of our manifestations. But releasing what doesn't serve us is part of this. It's absolutely part of this, because we can't hold on to the old that's not serving us if we're wanting to manifest in new. So I hope if this resonates for you, it helps you in some way. And of course, if you want a personalized moonscope, which is a personalized horoscope for the new moon or the full moon, then do let me know. Of course, the next lunar event with the full moon in Taurus, that's coming up on the 28th, I believe. So in a couple of weeks' time. So that's going to be another eclipse. That's going to be a lunar eclipse. We're in eclipse season now, folks. So heightened energy. So if you want a moonscope for the new moon, let me know. Okay, I'll put the details in the description box. If you want one for the full moon, same applies. Happy to help, happy to serve. Okay, if it's going to give you that indication of your own soul's blueprint and how the transits might be affecting you. Clearly, I've spoken too much today. Like, I can literally feel that I'm trying to say things faster than it can come out. So this is very much like from the divine. I feel there are so many messages at the moment that need to come out to people, and it's trying to rein it in. So apologies, okay? And we're not in Mercury retrograde anymore. It's the other retrogrades that's going on. But yeah, just let me know. The transits are going to show you what could be going on for you in your chart on your journey, if this is resonating for you. Okay, I know not everybody follows astrology. You might be here just for the cards, but take it as you will. If it helps you in some way, I'm doing my job as a light worker. Okay, so I'm sending you 11 blessings for this new moon. Happy manifestations and intention settings, and yeah, just be fair to you. Give yourself that self-love and release what you need to as well in order to bring in the new. Okay, sending you all the best, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.